Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer, back in the captain's chair after a lengthy week off. This was there for one day. Travel, personal, some ETR work stuff. 8-game slate on Monday. A lot of news on these slates. I swear, Mike, looking at the calendar from now until the All-Star break, it is like the NBA is trying to squeeze in as many games as possible. Lots of back-to-backs, lots of 5 and 7s. So we're going to have a lot of chaos the next week and a half or so. How are you on this fine Monday?
Doing good. Yeah, we just recorded a pod to break down the big trade over the weekend. Really good stuff. Talked some fantasy, talked some bet stuff. It was pretty good. So you had some great stuff. Fun weekend for me. I got brunch yesterday. That was really nice. It was kind of funny. Just a super quick story. There was these like promo girls going around, like called bet tenders, trying to get people to sign up for the sports book out there. And I was like, oh yeah, of course. And they said they'll pay for your food if you do it. And so I was like, yeah, for sure. So I was like, who makes your lines? What do you guys offer? I was like the most enthusiastic.
You're asking the bet tender promo girls who makes their lines.
Yeah, of course.
Like, come on, man.
Well, I was so enthusiastic, and I was like actually teaching them some stuff while I was signing up. It was hilarious. And like the people I was with are like, Mike, because I was on during the Magic Hornets game, and I have my laptop on me watching the game. Obviously, this is me we're talking about here, which my friends love. But yeah, it's so good. But yeah, so I was like, oh, you guys have combi lines, and I was going through all this stuff and
amazing,
like, talking about how they have Barstool and all this and that. It's hilarious. But anyways,
amazing.
So yeah, total Mike move. But just want to share that story really quick.
Yeah, just amazing.
And then actually they make you sign up for a bet too. And I took 2 bets. I took Andrew Nemhut under points and Joel Embiid under points, and they both hit. So I got a free brunch,
nice.
$250 deposit match, and I won both my bets. So it was a really profitable brunch for me yesterday.
That's a great time. That's a great time at the office. Bring your laptop to brunch. Work the promo girls for a free brunch and move forward. Love to see it.
So good.
All right, let's get into the injuries on today's show. I'm going to kind of go game by game here with the injury report in front of me. Okay. Let's start with the Boston game. Jaylen Brown is questionable tonight. They're still without Marcus Smart from that right ankle sprain. Any read on Jaylen Brown's availability tonight?
Yeah, midday illness Q tag. That is usually doom and gloom season. So decent chance he misses. Wouldn't be surprised if they start Peyton Pritchard there. They might. I would assume they're going to go double big. So he kind of makes the most sense. But they definitely could. They've used Derek White as a 2 before. That would help Malcolm Brogdon's minutes quite a bit. We see minutes from Brogdon have a little bit of a ceiling. So he would actually be the guy you'd want to look into here that would benefit. Obviously Tatum as well. Could help the spread a little bit. The game's in Detroit. Really good matchup for Jason Tatum. I almost cover boyed him today, but I was a little bit worried about the spread of a blowout. Should add, though, the Celtics offense has been really bad lately. They've been middle of the pack or worse for most of their games, coming off a horrendous game against Phoenix. It looked like they were going to pull off a nice comeback down 20 early. But it should be a huge role for Tatum. First game of the day, so we should find out. He'll probably be game time, but they might roll him out early. We see these illnesses really just not even have a chance. They may not even show up for the arena. We'll see.
On the other side of that game, Isaiah Stewart listed as questionable with left hip soreness. He was a surprise starter on Friday night, had a huge game, and then left early. Any read on his availability tonight against Boston?
No. New injury. Didn't see anything that was funky. He got full minutes. Played both ends of the back-to-back. Should be good. But I don't have a really read on it. This is not the same shoulder injury that was keeping him out that would have huge treatment on it. He'd have like a big old heat wrap iced after the game. So no information on this hip. But again, first game, so we should know. If he doesn't play, you would assume Sadiq Bey gets back in the starting lineup, whose role's been pretty good off the bench anyways. But he would have a teensy bit more ceiling as well.
Yeah, would probably, in a weird way, because Bay's been playing so much off the bench anyway, would probably help guys like Kevin Knox, Isaiah Livers a little bit more than, than Sadiq Bey, even though Bey would get the start, have a higher ceiling and stuff in terms of the minutes jump from what we'd be projecting, probably help the secondary guys a little bit more. Let's move to Cleveland, where Karis LeVert is listed as questionable today with right hamstring soreness. Ricky Rubio was ruled out for injury management of the ACL recovery. So it could be down a couple ball handlers here. What's your read on Karis LeVert tonight?
Yeah, he's been ruled out pretty early with this hamstring thing. They should have a chance, probably be game time, I would assume. But yeah, they could be thin. I actually covered boy Darius Garland. I really like this matchup for him against Washington. We've been targeting ball handlers against them. They take away a lot of off-ball stuff. So I'm excited for him. So Isaac Okoro has been playing really well the last couple games. So he would also benefit if LeVert can't go.
On the other side of that game, they're playing Washington. Bradley Beal's questionable with that left foot soreness. Anthony Gill questionable with a return to competition reconditioning tag. Any read on Beal?
Very likely to go. Going through shooting around, got shots up. Was a back-to-back the last game. I'd be really surprised if he doesn't play. Wizards coming off 2 blown 20-point leads. I saw a stat somewhere that's like the first team like 50 years to blow 20-point leads in back-to-back days, not just back-to-back games, but literally Friday, Saturday. So I was tilting. I almost live bet them both, and I didn't. I did live bet Grizzlies yesterday to lose at plus 390. So that was a nice little parlay for your boy. Oh, I had a really good day yesterday. Shout out
Sounds like it. Sounds like it.
Anyways, yeah. So expecting Beal back. Minutes have been better. We saw him starting to climb up a little bit, coming off a really good game last time he played. So pretty good role for him. Matchups not great, but pretty good. I think going against Okoro is fine. So expecting Beal to go today.
All right, Brooklyn and the Clippers on the Brooklyn side of things. Obviously, they've traded Kyrie Irving, so he's no longer available. We don't expect the Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith combination to be available tonight. I think that's going to take some time for physicals to settle. That obviously could change. Ben Simmons is listed questionable here, and TJ Warren listed probable. Still without Kevin Durant, still without Seth Curry. What are your thoughts here in terms of how things look for Brooklyn tonight?
Pretty similar to what we saw over the weekend. I think Ben's going to be back. So Sumner would essentially be in Curry's spot. So it sounded like Jacques Vaughn was expecting him to return today. Really, over the course of the week, it generally felt like today was the day he was going to be back. So I'd expect a starting lineup of Ben, Sumner, Joe Harris, and Nick Claxton. Shout out to us. We bet a Edmund Sumner over 9.5 points, gets a career high. We love when that happens. But yeah, really big game from Cam Thomas as well. Just total flame throwing in the second half. Would expect his role to be pretty good. We expect him to run a little bit ahead of Patty Mills just because he's been playing so well. Comments from Vaughn as well about how he's been able to score late in games. So yeah, should have a pretty good spot to attack with the Nets being a little bit thinner today.
On the other side, the Clippers just have John Wall listed out. No other listings for the Clippers, which is unusual. Relatively clean health injury report there. So I don't think anything to touch on from that perspective. We can move to Houston and Sacramento. Houston has Kevin Porter Jr. still listed out. Jalen Green will be available, not listed on the injury report. Garrison Matthews listed questionable with big toe soreness. Any read on Matthews' availability tonight?
I don't think it matters. They were pretty short-handed yesterday, and we projected him for, I think, 17 minutes on Saturday, and he didn't get any. So not an issue. Obviously, Eric Gordon coming back from the rest game as well. So, and they have Tate, so he wouldn't play. But yeah, I would expect Jalen Green, Eric Gordon, KJ Martin, Jabari Smith, and Şengün to get the start. With maybe the guards are interesting, and we saw Tari Eason play some 3. He first quarter rotation, third quarter rotation, got some 3. Bet it under on him, and he dropped, I think, 9 PRA in like 2 minutes. Just completely.
That's what he does.
There, it's what he does. It's your guy. But so expecting, I think Tari's role could be solid-ish. Maybe he has a floor of 18, 19 minutes now instead of we've seen 13, 14 sometimes, even without foul trouble. So curious to see how the back end of the rotation shakes out with him if he could continue to get momentum at the 3. If it was just a necessity thing because they were missing Tate, they were missing Gordon, who's a 2-3. So there could be an opportunity for him to still find minutes even though they're getting most of their guys back.
All right, let's move to Sacramento is on the other side of that. They're on the second night of back-to-back. They have not filed. Do you have any expectation on is De'Aaron Fox close, or are we still a ways away on seeing De'Aaron Fox back because he's been the big absence for them?
Yes, I did some digging. There was a report back in November that he was expecting a child this month. So that's likely the reason. I don't have much else besides that, but I'm probably 95% certain that's why. Usually you miss, 2-3 days with the birth of his son. So I think he's back, but it's just a total guess.
Okay. Any other injuries that piled up from yesterday? They got blown out and kind of spread out minutes. Herter was in foul
Mm-mm.
trouble, so it seemed like everybody came out of that game clean and
Mhm.
relatively unconcerned for tonight. But any notes there on Sacramento you want to drop?
Nope, pretty good.
Okay.
Just yeah, I think Fox is back, but I know again, just total guess on my part. I don't know how much he wants to be with his wife and newborn. I don't even know if he had the child yet, for all I
Yeah.
know. But so it's pretty
Yeah.
good.
No no jersey watch
Yeah,
equivalent for
yeah.
baby
I did check
getting
his
sick.
social media. I checked,
Yeah.
a couple of people with his social media and replies, and I haven't found anything out. So I did
Okay.
do my due. This is not my wheelhouse, looking for baby stuff, but no, I'm on it.
Good to know. Chicago side of things, they've got Alex Caruso listed questionable, Patrick Williams listed probable tonight for their game against San Antonio. Any news or notes on the secondary pieces for Chicago, Caruso and Patrick Williams here?
Patrick Williams, I think, would be good to go. We saw him, we questioned last name, went out there, looked fine. Caruso not playing would certainly boost up Kobe White, a little bit more Dragic, maybe a little bit more Derrick Jones Jr., but not much. But obviously, it would also help Patrick Williams too. You're going to need him a little bit more for defense, but not too much of a read there. But I think Caruso's got a decent chance to return.
Okay. On the San Antonio side, their injury report is very full. No Trey Jones, no Romeo Langford, no Jeremy Sohan, no.
Lost you for a sec.
It's that time of the year with San Antonio where things can get really, really shorthanded. And what's your read on Keldon Johnson and his availability? And if they're without him, man, it's really messy
Mhm.
here. What are your thoughts on the Spurs tonight?
Went through shoot around. Sounds like he's going to be back. It's not the hamstring thing that's been lingering for him, so I'm expecting him to be back. Excuse me. I expect him to start there. So Malachi Brandon rides again. Bet over on him. Career high. I love doing that. That was an easy cash for us. So expecting him, Josh Richardson, Keldon, Katie Bates, Diop, who has been annoying at times, and then Jakob Poeltl in the starting lineup. With pretty much they did actually recall Blake Wesley. He was called out earlier, brought him up. So he would have a bigger role. We saw a little bit of overlap, and they did play garbage time together, Malachi and Wesley in the last one. So yeah, it'd be really tight if they do hold Keldon out here. Oh, I lost you.
Yeah.
There you are.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why things are cutting out or not. It possibly due to my headphones being connected to my phone as well. So
Sound
I'm
good
going to
now.
turn Bluetooth off there and just see if that's the case. All right, let's move on to Dallas. Obviously, we don't expect them to have Kyrie Irving available tonight.
Mhm.
They will be without Spencer Dinwiddie, Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber. Frank Ntilikina is listed questionable, but it's that midday illness downgrade from questionable from not listed. And then Christian Wood is listed as available, but his name is swirling around in trade rumors, which, as we've seen, like we saw Denver yesterday, very, very shorthanded. They were without Jokic, Jamal Murray,
Mhm.
Aaron Gordon, KCP, all these guys. No Bones Highland in the rotation, right? A name that's been
Mhm.
rumored to be in trade rumors quite a bit as well. It sounds like Christian Wood's going to be available tonight. But with any of these guys who their names are floating around, you need to be careful this time of the year. We'll
Mhm.
talk about another one on the other side of this game with Utah. But what are your thoughts on what things look like for Dallas tonight? No Luka, no Spencer Dinwiddie. There's a lot of ball handling opportunities. When we've seen this before, it was Kemba Walker posting a season
Mhm.
high before his knee balked up again and they moved on from him. What are your thoughts on what we see from Dallas tonight?
Yeah, we're gonna probably see if Frank can't go. I mean, they're down bad. They might have to start Hardy, but if Frank can go, I would expect him, Green, Hardaway, Powell at the 5, and then Wood at the 4. Just because they're thin. Should know Wood was doing practice a couple days ago with both hands, looked fine. Basically said he was ready to play over the weekend, so they kind of pushed it back. Good point on the trade stuff. I think it's a little bit different just because they're so thin. Um, But there's always risk, so
Yep.
that's definitely good on you to call it out. And Josh Green's minutes should be really secure, especially if Frank can't go. They would need him to play a ton of defense. Well, again, that would also affect Hardy. We saw them go teeny tiny. We saw some Theo Pinson center minutes. We saw some Reggie Bullock center minutes in the Warriors game. Just a wild rotation from Kidd, which is a testament to just how thin this team is going to be today.
The good news with Christian Wood compared to like a Bones Highland situation or the situation we're going to touch on in a second here is he's going to be starting. So if he wasn't starting, that would be an incredibly big red flag. With guys that their natural role is off the bench, it's a little bit harder to discern, and you just need to be a little bit more careful of that, especially this time in the DFS season. There's edge though, if you can take advantage of like it would. And I was communicating with our guys in between flights and stuff yesterday, and I was like, hey, like we need to take Bones Highland down because there's a really good chance that he's not playing at all. And I'm not sure how far down we ended up taking him, but the point was we couldn't project him for 0. Like it's not a situation we've seen all year. So there is edge in if you can speculate on which players might not be available, even though they're deemed available by the team, but the team's not going to play them. You could see you could boost. And so last night, it might be a situation like Ish Smith is a guy who's going to play more, different things like that. Utah tonight, Jared Vanderbilt listed questionable, low back spasm issue. He's been in a number of trade rumors. And I mean, since they acquired him in the Rudy Gobert trade this offseason, we speculated on he would be a key piece that teams would be looking for at the deadline. There's speculation around a ton of teams with Jared Vanderbilt. He's another guy that his role has been diminished of late, as they've been elevating Walker Kessler a little bit more, and they've gotten Kelly Olynyk back as well. But he's a guy that could be listed available tonight, and they could easily play a rotation without him tonight. And so thinking through like who would benefit in those scenarios, well, it's probably Walker Kessler, it's probably Kelly Olynyk, those types of guys. Your read on whether Jared Vanderbilt is deemed available or not tonight?
Yeah, don't have much. Back spasms are tricky, though. I would kind of lean on the no side, just given the nature of the injury, the timing. Everything's kind of going against him here. I don't know how severe it is. So just in the context, it seems unlikely, but there's a chance it could go. I would add to your points on Kelly O and Walker Kessler that they would play a little bit smaller. We'd see more Laurie at the 4 to open up more minutes at the 2-3, so that could boost Malik Beasley a little bit. We've seen him get starts in the spot. He won't be, just to be very clear there. But his minutes could be elevated, maybe a teensy bit more Rudy Gay. It would certainly be great for Walker. They'd let Walker Kessler play as much as he can in a pretty good matchup against Dwight Powell, which should be a pretty bad Dallas defense, losing Dorian Finney-Smith. And I just think that, and the projections may not know that, so you may have some edge on this Dallas team who won't have Luka. They'll probably play faster. The math could be misleading you a little bit, where the spot for Utah could be like sneaky good.
Absolutely. The other thing that I note is the good news is the fact that Vanderbilt is on the injury report. It's most likely if they had no intention of playing him, they just rule him out with the injury. Whereas like Bones, there's no injury, so they can't make up an injury to like put him on the injury report. But something to note there, you will see at this time of the year some weird things with the rotation where a guy just doesn't play a game, and you're like, I wonder why that was. And it might be that they were close on a trade and they just were playing it conservatively. Yeah. All right, Milwaukee.
Prayers to Kyrie's calf, by the way.
Giannis with the dreaded probable tag, right knee soreness tonight. They're still without Bobby Portis. What are your thoughts on Giannis and his availability tonight? Late game in Portland.
Should be good. We've done this song and dance a million times. Just he's been good. He's been playing well, scoring a ton. I know a lot of people had his under points and scores with freaking 13 seconds left. Winky, my friend and subscriber, if he's listening, felt terrible for him. He had under 33.5 points, and Giannis dunk at 13 seconds left was tilting for him.
It's tough.
But I'm expecting him to go. This is a little bit different than the probable tag, because this is pretty consistent. We've seen him probable tagging going, so it's not the Bucks probable. It's like pseudo Bucks probable. Definitely don't treat it like he's assumed in, but I feel a little bit more confident than usual.
Yeah, I have my fears still. Like I just don't know with Giannis and the probable tag. I'm still uneasy. Portland side of things, Gary Payton is listed probable. They're still without Yusuf Nurkic, without Justice Winslow. Drew Eubanks also listed probable with a left lumbar strain. We saw Trendon Watford have a great game in a game that Drew Eubanks got into foul trouble. The DFS community was very excited to play him the next night as a result. What are your thoughts here on the probable tags for Eubanks and Gary Payton? Any reason for concern on either of those two?
GP2 should be good. We saw him play in the last game. Very little concern there. I would note Eubanks' injury is legit. Comments from Billups after the game saying he was really laboring through that. So I could see his minutes coming down. Definitely puts Watford on the board. You mentioned that big game against the Wizards. Huge comeback was a big part of that. It was really good passing, too. He obviously had a huge scoring game, but he had like 3 or 4 beautiful passes to backdoor cutters that were really, really big. But so I think that there's if Watford's cheap, leaning into Eubanks possibly aggravating his back or something along those lines in a matchup that's pretty bad, but he could have foul risk as well. There's a lot of ways I think it could go really well for Trendon Watford today. So I'm not on the DFS show. That'll be you and Gary, but let me give my 2 cents. And yeah, I think Trendon Watford's a late game. I think that he's a guy I'd definitely be looking at.
Golden State and Oklahoma City, the last game on the slate to tackle. On the Golden State side, we got the bad news that we're going to be without Steph for a few weeks here. Unfortunate. The Golden State stuff from a projection standpoint without Steph is really interesting because most of the games that Steph has missed this year, that Jordan Poole has been elevated in this big role. I shouldn't say most, but a decent chunk of those games have been where they've sat everybody. They've sat Clay, they've sat Dre. And as a result, it's been situations like second night of back-to-back where Jordan Poole's asked to carry an entire offense by himself. It's not quite the same tonight. Klay Thompson's still available. Andrew Wiggins still available. Draymond Green. It's just Steph. It's not a mass rest situation. You've also alluded to the differences between teams when they have a stopgap situation for missing a player and when they're going to be missing a player for weeks and how that might change kind of their perspective and their approach. What are your thoughts on how the Warriors deal with the absence of Steph Curry for the next few weeks?
A lot of Jordan Poole. I have been poo-pooing Jordan Poole for about a week now, and I'm flipping. We took an over on him. I think that the Steph Clay Poole fit is gross, and we saw him come off the bench. I think Kerr knew that they had to kind of bite the bullet. Obviously, Steph gets hurt, so he does the quickest turnaround of literally in a day of going like, I want nothing to do with this guy. Talked about him all, like his minutes may be down to like 20 in some cases. I was saying now they're going to be as high as 40 with the ball handling role. So feel really good about him. There, they could play a little bit more defense. He's not competing with Dante DiVincenzo anymore role-wise. He basically just moves into Steph's role because he was never going to beat Steph in that. So, huge win for him. Expecting Looney to start pretty good minutes. Not a pretty good matchup to attack as well. We like rebounders against OKC. Draymond's role should be about the same. Wiggins has been kind of meh. Don't think he's going to be affected too much here, but the headline by a mile is Jordan Poole goes from outhouse to penthouse.
On the other side of this, OKC, they put Yushman Jiang back on G League assignment, so he's been ruled out. They're still without Lou Dort with that right hamstring strain, still without Alexei Pokusevski and Jeremiah Robinson Earl on G League assignment as well. Thunder have been up and down of late. Big blowout win against Houston. I am on the Thunder tonight. A little money line action, a little +4.5 action. What are your thoughts on the Thunder without Lou Dort and the rotating carousal of starter options alongside Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Giddey, and Len Williams?
Keep leaning into the bit, Dink. So I'm a little sad that I'm just finding out now that you bet OKC. A little hurt as a coworker and a friend, but we're expecting. And I'm also so as great as my Sunday was, I'm so mad at myself that I didn't martingale OKC. I spent all day talking about the last time Houston played OKC. I was like, oh, they're going to score 130. I bet them over 123 plus 150. I bet them to cover. This is what I expected. They score 153 points, franchise record. What the hell? Why didn't you do that when I bet you big? Anyways, expecting SGA to start, Giddey, Aaron Wiggins for sure. I feel very confident there. And then J Dub. I'm not going to call him Len. And then I would expect
Lynn
George
Williams. Lynn
yeah.
Williams.
And then I would expect Cambridge Williams to get the center spot. Minutes have been pretty good, kind of off or on the bench. I actually fell off the last game because it kind of got in a blowout. But I expect his minutes to be really strong there. But we saw Muscal get the spot start against Shingun. Had a pretty good game overall. But yeah, I think it's more straightforward than usual for OKC. Famous last words.
Lennon Rich tonight, almost like a New York sandwich shop. Lenwich. It's Len Rich instead tonight for the OKC Thunder starters is what we're expecting. All right. That will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, please support the people who are supporting us. This show is brought to you by our friends at Underdog Fantasy. They have daily NBA snake drafts for money running in addition to many formats of big game contests, still running for huge prizes. If you're playing NBA Pick'em, in-season subscribers can use our tool to compare each hour projections to their fantasy pick'em games. If you haven't signed up for Underdog yet, use promo code ETR for a matching deposit bonus up to $100. It's promo code ETR at underdogfantasy.com. As Mike alluded to before, if you would like to join us behind the paywall for more DFS slate-specific analysis, it'll be myself and Gary Hartman behind the paywall at 5 o'clock Eastern tonight. Make sure to check us out and tune in there. If you're uninterested in giving us your hard-earned dollars, we do ask for your hard-earned clicks. Subscribe to this YouTube page, get notifications whenever we go live. And of course, smash that like button and help circulate the content around the algorithm. As we say, help us by feeding the algorithm. It helps us feed our families, and we'll continue to feed you the great injury analysis and information for you to help set your DFS lineups, make your prop bets or your sports bets. Nom, 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 nom. See you at 5 o'clock behind the paywall, 2 o'clock tomorrow. And reminder, Thursday, 3:30, special trade deadline edition show with myself, Mike Gallagher, and more from the ETR crew, breaking down the trade deadline right here on this YouTube channel.